And we're live. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Real Estate. Today we have in the house a special guest. We have my boy RJ. We have Sam in the house. We have him in the building today. So, guys, tell us a little bit more about yourselves. Let us know, first of all, your guys' full name. Let us know where you guys from, originally from, what part of town.
Yes, sir. I'm Rudy Johnson. I'm raised in San Diego, Oak Park, they moved out to Chula Vista. And I love San Diego. Like I said, I played at Balboa, played for Skyline. And a lot of my friends and family, coming from the Southeast community. And then we parted out to Chula Vista. We really like it out there. It's been like the new development city. And that's where I've been doing a lot of my deals is out there in Chula Vista. Played football my whole life since I was 4 years old. Like I said, played Pop Warner. We were actually the Pop Warner Junior Midget champs nationwide. So Balboa Raiders, you already know 2000. I think it's year 2000. And then played high school ball, played quarterback, and went to college. And I played professional ball with the CFL for a little bit. Played arena ball, and actually, I just got signed with the San Diego Strikeforce, so I'm playing arena ball in San Diego right now, quarterback. And
nice.
Yes, sir.
Why are you bragging though, bro?
No. Give him my resume.
Man, I said, tell me a little bit about yourself. You dropped the whole 9. Right? Well, I mean, Sam, you right? So what's going on, Sam? What's your story? Tell us. You can go ahead and brag.
I don't have much to brag about, but Samantha Sparta. I'm also born and raised in San Diego.
Okay.
I grew up a little majority when I was till like 5 in Claremont, and then I grew up majority of the time in Paloma. But I have family everywhere: Escondido, Mira Mesa, Spring Valley, Chula Vista. So
you're more on the bougie side, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we had my boy RJ talk about Southeast real quick, and then all of a sudden we go to the bougie.
Hey, I'm on the bougie side too. I'm in Chula Vista, so it's bougie out there.
But yeah, I mean, so graduated from Paloma High. I just started the state thing about a year ago, so I've been working with RJ State for a year.
Okay.
But I also property manage. I work remotely from home. I always been working 3 to 4 jobs, so just kind of that's in the way.
Okay, nice. So you're talking about the real estate side, the management side, and RJ, you were talking football. What else do you do, man? Is that all you do? You're an athlete, or do you do something else, man? I see that house, that logo on your shirt, man. What else is it that you do?
Of course, yes. My main bread and butter is I'm a real estate broker. I just got my broker's license 6 months ago. Broker associate with Big Live Realty, and RJ State is my company, my team. So I am a real estate broker, and I got my mortgage license as well.
So, man, all your eggs are not in one basket.
Not at all. No.
And where do you think you're going to head to? I mean, how old are you, first of all?
31.
31, you're playing pro ball right now.
Yes, sir.
And how is that, man? I mean, at 31, I'm 32. I still feel like I'm super young.
Yeah.
But on the face of a lot of these coaches,
yeah,
they don't look at us like we're the youngest bucks, right? Like, especially in the industry game, in the real estate industry, we're young.
Yeah.
Right? Everything else in the game, like, I'm young. I feel 21 still. So being 32, bro, like living both lives where you're living that pro football, that pro ball game, but you're also a realtor. What is that like, man?
You hit that on the head. Like it's literally those two worlds. They don't usually mix, but I want to make them mix. Like you said, me and my head coach are actually the same. So
okay.
There's an irony. But in the real estate industry, really 31 is like you're still young, you know? So just to see both sides of the coin like that is kind of unique. And, I think what I'm trying to do is to show people that you can merge those two worlds together. I don't think I've ever seen an athlete hands-on with their business as well as play professional sports at the same time. I think it's always handed off to somebody else to manage it or owner, but for you to be hands-on with your business in your city and then go play a professional game, that would be really a story to tell.
And what's your vision like, man? You think you're going to end up joining like the NFL?
No, not at all. No, that's long gone for me. I think we don't have a professional team in San Diego, so okay. I feel like just branding purposes, I can do something with the team where we're sponsoring RJ State on the wall, on the so these arena walls where you can play for your company. You can sponsor that, be on the field, and maybe put our business cards on the tickets. So I got a plan with it, put some billboards out and really partner with the team. But I do want to merge both of those industries together.
Okay.
As crazy as it sounds. I mean, I don't know.
Pro football. He's a broker, one of the youngest brokers out there. 31 years young, not even 31 years old. 31 years young. So, what about you, Sam? You play any sports?
Basketball. So
Okay.
I went to high school and then city college.
Okay.
I'm still I like to think athletics. Like to work out, that whole thing. It's really in my blood. But I'm not on any path to any type of team.
Right. And I'm over here saying preaching to everybody. We have some players in the house today.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I grew up athletic, but definitely working on it is an everyday life thing for me.
And what's your vision like? So what do you see yourself doing? Like, what is it the next 5 years look like?
Yeah, the next, hopefully the next year to 2 years, I can start all the multiple jobs that I've always had growing up. I do have a son too, so it takes a lot of my time. But yeah, hopefully I can just I've been learning a lot this last year. Really been blessed to be able to just shadow and just, walk the line with him and just, have the opportunity to really grow in this kind of way without really being a full-blown real estate agent in this world. So within the next year, I would hope to really just dive, not deep in the water, we don't dive deep in the water, but really just have this as my sole priority income, passion, and all that.
It's going to be your main focus and say, hey, this is what I'm going for, and that's what you're going to take on, challenge head on.
Definitely grow the brand. Yeah.
Nice. So RJ, what's up with you, man? You have any kids, married?
Yeah, I got a daughter. No, not married, but definitely really focused right now in our career. Like, we're really building this company from the ground up, and she's my assistant. She's been helping me with everything, and it's taken off on its own. It's kind of like a movement right now,
right?
Where a lot of these clients that we have, not only refer people, but they do see us as a family, and they're reaching back out to us for their second properties and third properties. So I think right now I'm focused on just being there for my clients and being there for the people. I think that's the main focus outside of my kids,
So we're about to go ahead and dive deep. Let's go ahead and talk about the real stuff, right? Yeah. So guys, be ready for it. RJ, tell me the truth, man. What's been one of the biggest struggles with you right now? I mean, take me back to your first year in real estate. How long have you been in the game? Take me back to that year. How would that year look like?
Man, good question. I've been in the game for 8 years now. When I first started, my grandma, she was the one that told me, you can't play football for long. I had this little short tryout with the Chargers, literally very short tryout.
And I threw one football.
I threw, no, they wanted me to play wide receiver, and I've never played receiver in my life. I did so bad, but I dropped all the footballs. And she was just like, football's not forever. You need a backup plan. She introduced me to a mentor of mine that, he's no longer my mentor. I outgrew him, but he's a great person. His name is Piero, and he was the one that suggested, hey, get your real estate license. I worked just like an intern job with him, the same way that Samantha's doing. And I really learned hands-on, the importance of touching the people and how you could change people's lives, building generational wealth. So, with him and my grandma's assistance, I started learning, you're not only doing a job, and this is not only a career, you're literally changing people's wealth for the next 2 to 3 generations with this purchase. This is one of the biggest purchases of everybody's life. So I took this on as this is a big, huge responsibility for us,
Now, taking that back, sorry to cut you off, man, but you're hitting it right on the head, man, and I'm loving where you're going with that. Take me back to where you come from, man. Knowing where you come from, for a lot of those of you guys who don't know San Diego like that, tell me a little bit more about Southeast and how you grew up.
Yeah, for sure. I grew up in Oak Park. And, my grandma, she grew up in Ocean View. I don't know if you guys know where that's at, and my dad as well. And when you're coming from that Southeast community, it's not really taught to, hey, build and just build no minimum of wealth. And luckily, my grandma with her second husband, I don't even want to put her, I don't know if I want to put her.
Well, go ahead, spit it out. Hey, you can go ahead and cut off on this part, all right?
Just with my grandma, she was able to purchase her first property later years around 50. And with the help of Piero, he literally changed her life. She owned 4 properties, and she owns her whole block in Ocean View Boulevard. The whole block.
So grandma's known it, and grandma Southeast.
Oh, for sure. Seriously. And guess who's living in those houses? My auntie, my great auntie, my uncles, right? and they're paying off her mortgage, but at the same time, she's making sure, hey, I'm not taking advantage of you guys. You guys got somewhere to stay. And then she's putting them a game on, this is how you own a property, right?
And she started at 50, you
She
said?
started at 50.
And now owns 4 properties.
Owns 7 properties.
That's what's up, man.
Owns 7 properties. And that was such a inspiration to everybody, you know, even my dad as well. So we learned from her, and it's like you're not a product of your circumstances. And thank God, you know, I saw it firsthand from my grandma, but some people don't see that firsthand at all, you know. So I think it's my duty, and I feel like that's my purpose. Is I call myself the people's realtor, is to bring that awareness to the average person who is not aware of how that can affect your life, purchasing your first property, you know, for sure.
What about your boys back? So, I mean, I guess I resonate a lot with the way you grew up and certain things that happened in your life. Growing up in a neighborhood the same way that you and I grew up, most of your boys, the only way out is pro ball.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The only way of getting out of it, all you think is pro ball. So what do they say now, or how was that when you said, hey, I'm gonna go become a realtor?
They were excited about it. I think it was different. You know, like you said, it was for all of us, it was NFL or nothing. Like, I don't think that we even thought about going corporate. You know, everybody was more just like, hey, if I don't make it to the NFL, then, you know, I don't know. Some of my boys, they still, you know, dealing in illegal activities, and I tell them to get out of that. You know what I mean? So it's like they didn't see no other way. Now, me, myself, I definitely had other plans, but I always thought football or nothing. I was raised to think football or nothing because I played football since I was 4 years old. Everything else was just to get by so I could get on the football field. So I literally went through like a depression when I was transferring from playing sports to my real estate career. Like a real depression. Like it's called a identity crisis. Like you don't know how to identify yourself. You got
walk me through that, because there's going to be millions of people
Yeah.
that might listen to this and be like, okay, that's what I'm going through right now.
Right.
So what was that like, and how you get out of that?
I'm still struggling with it. You see, I'm still playing ball 31. It's not like I'm like, no food.
Right.
Like it's a real thing, man. Your whole life, you grow up, you know, hey, this Rudy Johnson, that's the quarterback. You know, That's all you know. So in high school, that's the quarterback.
So were you the captain in high school, and that's what?
Captain in high school. I was star quarterback in college. So everything was, you're just the quarterback.
But you had that chip on your shoulder. You were like, hey, this is what you're going to live. Like, there was nothing else. There wasn't real estate when you were in college. This is what you were doing, and this was hands down like, hey, you grew up in high school with everybody saying, damn, that's Rudy Johnson right there. That's the quarterback. That's the A1. And what happens? Like, you go to college, and then what happened next?
So, you know, literally, and just more context about it, you grow up and, you know, my dad, I mean, it's not like my dad, he had a career and everything. I'm just saying that what my dad told me was, you know, you almost had to get a full scholarship in sports because we didn't plan to save up for college.
There was no savings college account.
No, I mean, no, and they did it for my sister. I'm not saying they didn't. They weren't conscious of it. They were, but for me, that wasn't the plan. The plan was you got to get a full scholarship. So that pressure was there. I knew I had to get. Yeah, I had to get the full scholarship. So I got a full scholarship, and through football, throughout college, everything was like, I'm just trying to get to the NFL. That's it. That's all we were thinking. That's all my friends. That's everybody I grew up around was just like, man, we're either trying to make it to the NFL or should we make it to the CFL? One of the two. Wasn't no plan B. We didn't even know what a plan B was.
So then what happened next?
So, you know, go do this Chargers tryout.
And this is when you're in college? How old are you?
So when I got out of college, I was 22. So I graduated.
What college you go to?
I went to 2 colleges. I went to Texas Southern University and Winston-Salem State University.
Okay.
Yeah. And in college, I was, you know, all-time American. We didn't win the national championship. We lost in the semifinals, but we could have been the first. You know, HBC was like a historical Black college. We could have been the first one to win the national championship. So we were that close. So I thought that I had all of this, you know, clout coming out from that. But it was a D2 college. So your mind, you're thinking you're doing something big, but you're coming out of D2 college. And the percentage of kids coming out of D2 college going to NFL, even coming out of D1 college, is very low. So that reality never set in.
You have to have some kind of pool, right?
You had to have some pool. You had to be flawless. Okay? Right. You had to run like a 4.2 40 and be a superhero. to get out there, to get on into the NFL at that point. So, reality sets in, and then you're like, what do I do? I was not building for anything else.
All your eggs were in the same basket. That one basket, everything was like, hey, this is the only way out.
It's the only way out.
So then you go try out.
Yeah.
How was that day?
When you got your eggs in one basket and this is like your one moment that you've been waiting for all your life, it's opposite of what you think it is. It's so much stress that you hurt yourself. So I ended up pulling my groin because I was stressed out.
So the day before, what happened?
I pulled my groin the day before because I was trying to run extra laps to be ready. And when I got out there, my groin was tweaking. I dropped every football, and that was like my one opportunity.
So what's up? It's game day, right? Walk me through that day, bro. Take me back. I know you hate that day, but take me back.
Yeah, I know.
I want to hear that shit. Take me back.
I think okay. So you get a call. So I never got drafted. I got the call. I went to Vegas for 6 months, and I trained for this NFL combine. Never got drafted. Never went to the combine. I had my pro day. I did good. It's called the pro days, where all of the college athletes come out. You got the scouts that come out. All 31 scouts, NFL team scouts came out, right? And my agent at the time, he said, the Chargers, they want to bring you to something called like a private workout.
What are the fucking chances of it being San Diego Chargers from the hometown?
Come on.
Man, that's crazy.
I told everybody. I was just ignorant. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to be playing for San Diego and da-da-da-da. And, my dad was like, that was my coach when I was a kid. So this was both of our dreams coming true. This was my, grandpa's dream, recipes coming true.
Right.
So you're really subconsciously weighing all of this pressure on you without even knowing it.
Right.
So man, my nose started bleeding in that morning. My nose started bleeding that morning because I was so stressed, and my groin pulled before I tweaked it because I was running laps the day before.
Right.
Went out there, man. I failed, and I just like cried myself to sleep that night. Never heard from them again.
Okay, guys, I'm digging on this shit because trust me, I want to know. Like, I want to hear this. This is not every day. You know what I mean? There's so many people that don't even get the shot to show up to game day, bro. You got that shot, right? Wake up that day, nose bleeding all. You're thinking like, hey, this is my time to shine. You show up at the field, and then what?
Show up at the field. Man, it was like, have you ever had like an outer body experience where you just black out almost? Like
last time I was drunk, yeah.
Last weekend.
Yeah.
It was that. It was a sober blackout moment where it's blurry. You don't remember.
It's almost like when you're driving down the road and then all of a sudden you get someone, you're like, man, these last 5 turns, I don't even know how I did them.
Exactly. Like, you got to put yourself in my shoes. Since I was 4, like most kids ain't even playing sports at 4, right? Since I was 4, all I knew was this one moment. I mean, everything was fast forward in my life.
You learn how to throw a ball before you learn how to walk.
No, for sure. like homework, all that wasn't like the thing for me. Like, it was like, man, I'm just doing homework to get to where I need to go in football.
Right.
So you got to think like that one moment relied on my whole life at the time. And that's why I blacked out, because I'm like, damn, this moment's too big for me.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? I didn't have no backup plan. If I had one, I probably would have been more relaxed.
Right.
I don't know if you can relate to that, but I don't know. It's hard to put in context, but it's like,
I get it.
It's your whole moment. Your whole life is just this one moment, and these people are judging you in these next 30 minutes. And you can either make or break your whole life. And it's your hometown, it's your team. And you told everybody.
Right, that's the worst part. That's the worst part. So what happens next? You end up showing up. It doesn't go the way you want. You're not catching anything. Why did it make you a wide receiver?
Because, man, like, at the time, I was a mobile quarterback. Mobile quarterbacks was not in. Like, NFL scouts go off of trendy stuff. Like, it's what's trending at the time. Right. Pocket quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd say my skin color, I was not what they were looking for. You know what I mean? So it was like, this guy should be a running back or a receiver at that time. Right. Now times have changed where they want mobile quarterbacks and they want that, but they didn't want that at the time. They didn't think I could throw or I was capable of leading a team. Okay. Right? So it's like, you run fast, especially at wide receiver. And that was my first time ever playing.
So then you come back home And then what? How do you get put onto real estate?
So, my grandma called me because I told her about the charter news, and she was like, man, I heard it went bad, and, and she was like, I want you to look into this, getting your real estate license, I've been talking to this guy, Pietro, and, he's pretty much changed my life, and I want you to mentor with him, and, I talked to him. I wasn't feeling it at the time. You got to remember, I was still trying to play, like, Canada football, so I played in Canada. I was going back and forth, played a little arena at the time, but I just got my license, like, I might as well. Got a license, and it just put my mind off of stuff for a little bit. Then I went back to playing arena in Kansas. So I went to Dodge City, Kansas.
Do you get paid? Sorry.
Yeah, so arena, you get nothing. Like, you barely get money. You get enough to feed yourself.
So you're in Canada, bro. You're playing ball.
Oh, no, Canada is different. Canada is different. So arena is like a step lower than Canada.
Okay.
So first I went to Kansas. And in Kansas, I was getting paid like $300 a game, so I don't know, you said like $1,200 a month at the time, and I was playing quarterback.
That's what the flight ticket there and back.
Yeah,
exactly. The hotel. Where you live at? Where you stay at?
We live in a motel.
And with $1,200 a month, how's that?
They covered the whole motel for you.
Okay.
Right, but you live there, so it was like it was me and my friend. We both lived in the same room.
Okay.
Motel. So we lived there. And like no food, nothing. Like you had to go get your food, or it was fast food all the time.
Right, Lunchable kids all day.
Lunchable kids. They don't provide you no food. I had no car out there. Right. So we just had. There was no Uber. There's no Uber in Dodge City.
Okay.
So Lyft and Uber doesn't exist.
Right.
And my phone didn't work because there's no phone towers. Yeah. So I did good. I went crazy out there enough to where the GM for Saskatchewan, he came to San Diego and they did like an open tryout, and the owner just happened to be at this open tryout. It was at San Diego High School.
Right.
I ran like a 4.3, and they were like, man, do defensive back. Like, we don't want to see you do quarterback. Like, try defensive back. Ended up being like super good at defensive back, which is random. And then they said, we want to bring you out to our mini camp. They brought me to mini camp. I ended up shutting down like ex-NFL players. I don't want to put them out there, but
go ahead.
I can't.
I'm attacking on this phone.
Oh, like put them out there. But I'm 3 months in. I played the defensive back and shutting down NFL players. So then they brought me to camp, did good in camp. Then I did the preseason. And then I played a couple games and I pulled my hamstring because my body wasn't used to running like that. And they cut me. 2 games. I got cut and I came back, found out I was having a baby. And that's when I had to turn on the switch to really focus on real estate. Yeah.
Okay.
That's when I was like 26.
Man, there's like 20 seconds of silence because you're like, damn, that's when shit got real.
That's when shit got, it got real.
So then go ahead and, I know these topics these podcasts are like that. We talk about real estate because we keep it real. Like it's the real truth because you're not the only one. Your story is probably very similar to so many other people. So you find that you're having a kid. And you're like, okay, now like I have a responsibility over my head.
Yep.
This NFL thing, the whole football series was your all-time goal. What changes? So many people, they're about to have a kid and nothing changes. What changed within yourself?
I'm gonna tell you where my turning point was. Man, we gotta talk about Sam, man.
My story is nothing.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna make it. My turning point was I worked for this company, and they were doing construction and financing at the time, and it was a 9-to-5 startup company. And they were a startup, so I told them I got a baby on the way. I'm back from Canada. I'm working here, and I'm doing real estate like half-ass doing real estate. I'm not really all the way in. And they said they fired me. So my baby's 6 months on the way, and they fired me, and they were like, man, we're startup, we don't have enough money, and it's been like hectic, you coming in and out, like, and I'm like, man, I got my daughter on the way. And then my mentor, the reason why we fell out was it was a $7,000 check, and I was gonna split it. I needed that $7,000 at the time. Like I had nothing in my account. Canada only pays you when you playing like the full season.
Right.
So I didn't sign no contract with them. I had nothing. And I was like, man, I need this $7,000. And he was like, well, no, because and you work. He fired me a long time ago, but while I was working with him, I had a client on my own. I got a listing on my own. So when I closed on the listing after he fired me, he still wanted 50%. So when those two things happen, like back-to-back days, I lost my mind, and I figured, man, I can never trust somebody to pay me to feed my daughter. And that's when I switched, and I was like, if I'm gonna work and do this real estate, I'm gonna make sure that my daughter's always is well kept, and I'm always financially free, and nobody can hold my check or tell me when I get paid.
So you took matters into your own hands and say, hey, I'm gonna make sure that I eat my destiny.
Yeah, because they didn't care.
Right.
I had a fresh baby on the way, like 6 months. I'm like a new.
And you let them know, and it was like
I was crying. I was in there crying, pissed, like, yo, I need this money, and it's business. Right. They just look at you like it's business, and that's when I learned, like, one, I would never do somebody like that, and two, if I'm gonna control my narrative, I got to make sure that I understand everything around me, and I'm at the top of the food chain for myself, and then I can control the narrative and put money in people's pockets that got babies on the way. You get what I'm saying?
You care about your people, that's why. The biggest difference is now knowing the struggles you went through, that's why. Because you felt that you know it, so you can relate to what they're going through.
Yeah, I know it for sure. I know it, like I told you, like, I know what the outcast feels like. You not being a quarterback, they want you to be a receiver, you know, not paying you. You got a baby on the way, you know, and you just trying to make it. All you trying to do is, I'm just trying to get on my feet, and I want to be successful. So I call myself a people's realtor, because there's people out there that they're on the verge, man. They're like 10 credit points away, or they only need to save another $2,000 from buying a house. And you got these realtors that are like, I'm going after the $1 million house. Like, you're not ready right now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, nah, I've been through that. Like, I know how that feels when you're right there. You just need somebody. I'm just telling you what, it's just real life, man. I'm passionate about this, and that's why I put my testimonials out. I'm not bragging to people. I'm like, this is our story. We're a family. Like, we're sharing this together. And when you buy a house, I'm buying a house with you. So I'm gonna take care of you like family.
Right, you put yourself in their shoes.
All the time, every time. I would never mess over any of my clients. It's just not in at all.
So tell me some success stories that you had with some of your clients. What's one of the clients that you feel like, hey, you know what, this transaction really hit home? Can you remember that one family that really resonated with you, and you're like, man, this one?
I got a lot, man. I'll tell you one of my first ones. It was not even my first one, but like my fourth one. But it was a family. They were trying to buy a mobile home, and I was new to this company. I don't want to say the company's name, and they were like giving out leads, and they gave me this lead, and the lender was like, "Oh no, man, they're doing manufactured homes. Let's go to the next lead." And I'm like, "No, man, let's see what they're doing." And they seemed really eager. They wanted to sit down with us, and the lender was just like, no, I'm not gonna do this, bro. I don't have the time. So I went with one of my lenders, and she was hungry just like me, and we went with them, and we looked at a manufactured home. The other lender said we can't get them pre-approved because it wasn't permanent land, and there's no mobile homes out there on permanent land. We ended up finding the right home for them, and it was one of my first testimonials. I got this big suit on, and they were like, you know, they were 67 years old. This was their first home that they owned. Right. And man, they cried, and they were just like, you know, everybody just threw us to the side, and he thanked him and his wife thanked both of us just for working hard, and we made like $1,000 on that. Right. Made $1,500.
Did you end up buying them a gift or something and do a video?
Yeah, I did all that.
So how much you spent on that?
Yeah, I mean, I spent $500 on the video, bought them $100 gift, so I made $400.
Was it worth it though?
It was well worth it, because it was me. It was like, it gave me something that money can never give me, and that's purpose.
And if I could drop a bomb, that's where it would be.
Drop the mic.
Right.
And I'm just speaking from the heart. It's not even like no corny stuff. It's just really like really my life, for real. You know, so that was when I just put, you know, got that chip on my shoulder and put matters in my own hands.
So since then, about how many homes do you think you sold?
I think we almost at 95 right now. 95 homes.
And I'll say too, this last year, I always talked to him about the relationship with the clients, their appreciation, the love they give us. Like, it's actually so like fulfilling and rewarding. Like,
Right.
just to see him like answer the calls at any time of day, like even when they're like, constantly like
Right.
on the same, freaking out about something, the patience, and they appreciate so much.
Right.
And the testimonials are so loving from these clients. It's really amazing to see that.
Now, Samantha, how long you been working with RJ?
A year almost?
Yeah,
About a year.
So, knowing that I have working with assistants, and RJ, let's be honest, we get most of the credit all the time. We do, right? Like being the team lead or being the agent, but half the time, half the battle is you,
very true.
Samantha. Like half the time, you're the one that walk me through a day of working with RJ. What's that look like?
Well, in the beginning, it really started with just a mentorship, like someone that I can trust in this, that would really look out for my well-being and to really give me great game in this whole industry. So a lot of it was just a lot of learning in the beginning. Like I was like, listen, we don't have to talk. Let me just be a fly on the wall. And he was like, let's do it. Like that's how you're gonna learn. Just listening, experiencing, blah blah blah, all of that. So, and then once I was like ready for more responsibility, like, okay, like let me dabble a little bit of just, I don't know, anything that I can assist you with. And that's where it kind of came into the back of just being an assistant for him and just kind of helping with the small tasks that will release some of the stress. I know being real estate agent full time is really stressful. So if I can play any part of doing that, I did. And that's kind of where we're at now until I can kind of really throw myself into it. But it's been a great learning experience. I'm very blessed to be in this position. And the clients are so loving and crazy the response we get from them that it really does you find your love and your purpose in this whole industry.
What would be one of the biggest things you learned so far from working with RJ?
Patience through it all, not just with your clients, but with the industry itself, the timeline, it takes time. The money comes, don't look for the money, but just have patience in that you're doing everything correctly and it's all going to pay off in the long run.
Very true.
So RJ, it's funny because Samantha just mentioned something, and I never thought that I would get to this day, right? And I want to ask you something, see where you're at with it. In the beginning, as a realtor, would you already start counting your commission? In the beginning, and it's okay because the struggle is real when you're starting off.
Yeah.
So you would talk to a client and then you would start doing the math?
Yeah. Trying to count the money in my pocket ASAP. Yeah.
And then, did it ever change, or is it still like that?
It changed when I did that the manufacturing home. When I knew I can affect people's lives more than the money in my account. That's when I started my perspective change. Now I'm more focused on problem solving. And if I solve your problems and you still don't want to buy a home, I'm okay with that because at least I was there to provide a solution. That's it, But that takes time. It takes experience, and it takes to have a little money in your pocket so you're not stressing. But when you have that cushion and look, I'm just here to solve people's problems and be there for them to make this a comfortable experience, it works itself out.
What do you think is your mission and goal in the real estate industry?
I'm gonna change the industry. I want to change the industry. I want to change the perspective of the industry. I want to change the perspective of our culture, of my culture. Being young, being a minority, it's not taught in our culture from ownership from the beginning. That's not something that we practice all the time. And, we would rather flash a Rolex and flash a foreign car versus flashing home ownership and passing it down to our kids and grandkids. So I want to change that perspective of what a real flex looks like. You know what I'm saying?
No more parking the Range Rover in front of the apartment complex?
Exactly.
On Solana Street?
Exactly. And you know what? I almost fell victim to it.
It's easy to fall victim to it. It's so easy to fall because that's all we grew up knowing. That's all we grew up seeing. Our friends and family didn't have homes. We grew up in apartment complexes. And we seen the first thing that people would drive by, you would see with the Chrysler 300 on some 22s, some 24s, and you thought, damn, that's the shit right there. You got the Bentley grill, and all of a sudden you're like, damn, that's bumping. That's what we grew up seeing, thinking that's the shit.
they'll think like that and influence that on you and the women too. Like you think that's what attracts the women. So it's like you really got to think about your kids and your kids' kids, because that little sacrifice you're making financially is going to affect your grandkids when they get a house paid off free growing up.
I'll be real, Samantha. Did the Camaro impress you guys?
No.
The brand new Mustang, no. Well, that's because for you it was a little bit different. They had to roll up in an M5. You're going to point a little Mahad. So you rolled up in the Camaro, you broke. But if you would have rolled up to Southeast in a brand new Camaro, oh, you rolled it.
I grew up so differently. Like I grew up being like more athletic, more into just like, trying to do good, make money, do that. I wasn't into all of that flashy stuff. I mean, would it be nice later on the line when you really can afford it? Sure. I mean, but that's not the end goal.
Okay. Yeah. So RJ, now, right? Like your pay changed dramatically.
Yeah.
What do you say in the last 3 years it's doubled what it was in the beginning?
Yeah, for sure.
And how does that affect you? How does that change? Like, do you think that has anything, like, does that change you in any way?
That's a good question. It did for a little bit. I didn't know how to handle it, bottle service and tables and all that. When you dump this new money, you just kind of like don't know, you don't feel like you deserve it, so you kind of throw it away, But over time, you become used to it and you understand that making this type of money comes with a responsibility. And, I've really disciplined myself. We were just talking about that in the car about like how self-discipline is so important. And now, like, I'm still in the Nissan. I was going to get a new car, but first first I got family that's grounded. Like my dad, my mom, my grandma, they understand ownership. They're not stupid. They understand how it goes. Now, outside of our core family, we got cousins and aunties that don't, but they know. So when I was talking about getting a new car, my grandma cussed me out. She was like, "What are you doing? Go get a duplex."
Right.
You know what I mean? And if I didn't have that, I'm pretty sure I would have got a new car. So it's that self-discipline of understanding, like, I'd rather make the sacrifice, be in this Nissan and run it up to $200,000 miles if I know I'm sitting on a few properties.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So what's that duplex coming, man?
Man, we talked about it.
Is that a goal for 2020?
Sure, yeah, that's a goal for 2023. I got to listen to you about that. It doesn't have to be in San Diego. It can be anywhere, right? Anywhere. As long as it's giving you passive income. So that's something I'm open to. I'll purchase in Cleveland. I'll purchase anywhere to get that property that I need. But I would love to make it happen San Diego.
And then what's the end game, bro? Like what are you thinking the exit strategy is going to end up being?
We don't.
There's no exit right now.
I'm about to give you some real game right now. I don't plan on retiring.
Okay.
This is something I love to do. Like, this is something I wake up and love to do. Do I plan on facilitating more responsibilities? Of course. I don't plan on retiring. I don't even believe that we will ever retire. I don't think people retire. I think you're going to work the rest of your life. You just got to make sure you're doing something that you really love to do. So that's it, man. Something passionate about, and I'm building a brand around my lifestyle and my mentality and my morals and my character, so that when I'm older, this brand is going to work on its own. You know what I mean?
Now, this brand, RJ, how many people are in this brand right now?
We got 4. So we got Samantha, we got Janaea, we got Anissa, and we got a lady named Brianna who we're interviewing right now, and we got Kayvon as well. But Kayvon is just my mentor. Kayvon is somebody who went to Lincoln High School, played Lincoln High School football, went the football route, coming from the Southeast community, but now he's a real estate agent at 23. His first deal was $1 million house. But he's still, and credit to Wesley Brown, who was my high school basketball coach and was my mentor. He was making sure that all of us were sharp and on our game coming out as athletes. So that used to be my mentor as well. And now that's Kayvon's mentor. So I got to give a big shout out to Wes.
So what's the biggest advice you would give to somebody that's listening to this, regardless if that's in real estate, playing ball?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to them?
You got to do what you love. Like, I think everybody, our generation, it's the new thing on TikTok to hurry up and make money so you can go do what you want to do in life. Like, no, do what you want to do in life while you make money. Like, don't try to do this passive income stuff if you're not really into it. If you're not waking up and looking into it and want to study about it and perfect your craft, don't do it. It's not worth the money. It's about the passion. It's about your purpose. When you start doing something that's in your purpose, the money already comes around every time. So that's what I'll tell people. Go do what you love to do and then get paid for it.
What about you, Samantha?
Advice?
What is your advice to somebody starting off?
Just stick with it. Stick with it if it's what you really want to do and it's your passion. I think people, I'm a big procrastinator.
Is that the Latina in you right there?
It might be. I'm a huge procrastinator and I have to take on advice, which is hard to do. But yeah, just stick with it. Stick with it. It's going to always pay off. It's never going to be easy. It's always you're going to cry in the shower. But, stick with it if you really love it. And eventually it's all going to fall into place and it'll all work out.
Now, those days that both of you guys are having, where not everything is going your way, right? We all have those. There's a day where like you're doing everything in your power to help this family get that home. There's things that you can't fix. How do you guys stick with it? How do you cope with it?
Well, first we're gonna figure out 7 or 8 solutions.
Yeah.
Keep going until we figure something out.
Right. Yeah. I'm not
It's a
gonna
long
stop.
ladder till you finally have to hit that wall.
Yeah, it's a long ladder. Like I don't think we had a family where we just quit. Yeah. They have to quit before we quit.
Yeah.
So once they quit,
So that's what I'm getting at, right?
yeah.
So then
I can let it go.
So then with you guys, like, you guys are relentless is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Like you keep on looking for a solution for it, right? So you guys never had a circumstance where you walked away?
I've never seen that. I've never in my career walked away.
And what goes through your head? Like, how do you go ahead and make sure that you persevere every single time and that you're relentless and don't give up?
Man, I don't know. I think that's the athlete in me. Like like I said, my whole life is football. You play at the highest level and you don't get paid for it at all. You're gonna always find a way. I'm used to taking the long routes for stuff.
So do you feel like your discipline that you learned along the way in your football career has definitely helped on your real estate career?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like just perfecting the details and finding solutions. Like because football was survival for us at one point. That's how we paid our bills.
If you were to describe yourself in one word, what would that be?
I don't know, Carlos.
Hitting us today.
Yeah.
Relentless.
Passionate. Passionate.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up today's podcast, man. Special thank you to both of you guys. I know we went deep, guys. Thank you for writing it out with me.
Yeah.
Keep it real. Your boy Carlos with the Realest Realtors Real Estate Podcast. Stay tuned for more.